Hello and welcome back to Raw Talks with Dr. Cami and Dr. Brandee. Today, Dr. Cami is going to talk about the topic.
Yeah. So I got a question. Someone asked that how do you let go of negative self-image issues? How do you learn how to love yourself? She's struggling with um, eating carbs and losing weight and just her ideal body image. And so I thought it was a great question that we could talk about all the different aspects of that inner narrative, that emotional body that we carry around, and how we can adjust ourselves. And I apologize, my cat really wants to go outside right now. So if you hear her whining. Um, so I think that we when we look at different aspects of how we take in energy, it's important to look at those different areas. So one is, food, and that's probably the most coarse way that we take things in, and it's the slowest process, right? We have a sandwich and it eventually turns into food or into energy and feeds our brain and feeds our body. We have breath, which is a little bit lighter and it's a little bit quicker nourishment, right? You breathe and you become present. But the biggest one, the fastest one, and the most finest quality is impressions. And we live in a world where we're constantly getting those impressions to us, and our personality absorbs all of that pretty quickly. And you can look at this when you're scrolling, right? You know, within moments, not even just seconds, but like moments, if an impression sits with you, or if you're like, nope, and you just scroll right by. And our personality is all the things that we like, what we don't like. It's very opinionated. It's that inner narrative, it's that inner talk. Our essence is more passive and it's more quiet, but that's like your soul speaking. It doesn't really have a preference. It's fine with whatever happens because it's here to experience life. And life is school, and that's what holds both of the personality and the essence together. And so all of this is just to bring awareness around, is your personality talking really loud? Yeah, probably. And then distinguishing, you know, how to quiet it and move into a space where your essence can just be and enjoy things. Um, so that's kind of where I was thinking we could start the conversation. Do you have anything to add right off the bat?
Yes, I do. I kept thinking about this lady, and if I remember, it was a couple years ago, but if I remembered her name, I would credit this comment to her. But she says, it is so essential for women to remember that our bodies are living, moving organisms, and they're constantly shifting and moving and molding. And we often put these ideas of what we should look like onto ourselves versus accepting that our body it shifts and moves and is, like you said, having a lived experience. So with that, there's an acceptance piece. And I always say it's important to accept your body where it is in the moment. And when you can accept it and love her or him the way, because I think men's bodies are also living, moving organisms. It's just women, we with our cycles, like, you could feel like you look great for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you're like, what happened? My belly's big. And you're just like, oh, it's my cycle. And then women who are post-menopause, they still have that hormonal fight where ebbs and flows as well. So then there's this acceptance of where I'm at, and then have a goal to where you want to go. And can I really get to that goal? Am I willing to do the work to get to this goal? Especially depending on your age, right? So your cortisol levels are higher, which makes it harder to lose weight. I'm not a doctor of, medicine or anything, but I am a woman. And so there's this acceptance piece. And when you go, okay, it's gonna, in my 20s, it would have taken me this goal to get where I wanted to physically be. But now I'm in my 40s, it's gonna take this goal plus this goal to get where I want to be. Do I want to do the work? And if the answer is no, because you have blocks, then acceptance is essential for where you are, right? And like you said, changing that thought pattern from this is how I should look, or this is where I used to look, to this is where I am and I'm okay with it. But if you're willing to do the work, because I do, from my experience, instead of maybe working out once a day, I might have to work out twice a day. My eating habits are really, I believe they're really good. And then I just had something happen where I'm following this app and I'm like, maybe not as good as I thought. But I'm shifting, so it is getting better again. And but your body needs a little bit more work than you would have because of the elasticity, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to get where you once were and may never be when you're in your 20s. Now,
Yeah. Mhm.
so acceptance. Now this lady who asked the question, I would start off with accepting where you are now and then working on what you just talked about. So let's go into what you were saying. You named a few things.
Yeah, I think acceptance is a challenge, because the inner narrative that we have is so loud.
Mhm.
And so it's, what are you looking at? Are you on social media following a lot of fitness people, right? And it's okay, um, to say, well, like I'm following all of these people, so I get motivated, but then I'm not getting those results. But yeah, it's looking at that lifestyle too, like, how do you get to that point? Um, when you feel like you're, then the other piece of that is, what kind of emotional body are you coming home to?
Yeah.
So she had said, I like, why can't I eat carbs? Like, there's obviously probably some shame and guilt in there, which is normal. Everybody's like, oh, I indulged and now I feel terrible. I just wasted all the effort I put into it. And I always tell people, why can't just enjoy it? Like, change those chemicals that are getting released in your body. Like, I do this with, even when I have patients who are smokers. And yes, I would love for you to quit, obviously for health reasons, but sometimes they don't want to.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I don't want to, but I feel like all this shame and guilt when I smoke cigarettes. And it's like,
That's me about acceptance. You
right.
gotta
It's like,
accept where you are. Like, I don't want to do the work, or I don't want to quit smoking, or
yeah,
I gotta accept my body where it's at. You might not have to like it, but if you start with where you are, and it's definitely not easy because you
it's
have to,
not.
what you just said, through all the narratives. What are you telling yourself? I've had to do this myself with accepting, 5 kids. I have 8 kids, 5 of which I birthed. Um, and because people ask me, oh, you have 8 kids. How many did you birth? I'm like, whether I birth them or not, they're all my children. But as far as my physical body goes, I have to accept that, instead of being that negative thought pattern. So you have to do the work to catch it. So definitely not easy to accept. But I'm telling you, when I got to the point where I can accept, getting out of the shower and looking at myself in the mirror and going, you know what? I'm not doing these negative thought patterns anymore. I'm not going to say, I wish blank or whatever. I accept me right now. And if I want this goal, then great. But it definitely, Dr. Cami, is like you said, is you have to do the emotional work around the negative thought patterns, and narrative stories that you're telling yourself to change them, the belief systems. We had asked, I don't know where this conversation came up, but it was asking, I heard someone ask someone, do you want to be a model? And the response was, no, I don't want to be anorexic. Right. And so that, because I mean, everyone's perceptions and narrative and reality are so different, but you really got to come back home. You have to look at your own body type, your own, because like you said, if you're watching all these videos and you're watching all this stuff, or you're seeing these people, I attribute it to hairstyle. I can look at someone's hair and go, I love that hair, but they don't have my same face. They don't have my same structure. So if I get it, it does not look good on me, right? Because I'm not matching it to my actual body type or my facial shape or my personality. And we see something like, I will look at videos of people working out, they're in shape and they have nice, strong legs. I don't have that. So I shouldn't compare to something I don't have.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah. It is definitely starting with that acceptance. And like, going back to those, like, the smoker is a big one, but I always say, just do a little prayer and do a gratitude and say, thank you for the gift that you give me, like the pleasure, the de-stressing, the moment of peace. Like, just appreciate the gift of what it gives you. If you're eating chocolate and you're like, oh my God, I like consciously make the choice to do something bad, which I don't like saying. Like you make a conscious yes so that you can make a conscious no. When
Yeah,
you say a conscious yes, you're allowing yourself that pleasure piece. And when you're allowing your pleasure piece, you're enjoying it in the moment more and you're less likely to indulge long term. And people get really, I get a lot of people get freaked out with this whole, if I accept where I'm at now, I won't be pushed to do better. And that's not true. Because the more you love yourself now, it's like it's like any plant or a child, they do better when they're given compliments and they are given love. They do better. They want that, they want more approval. So if you're like, I love these pieces of me, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to go. I'm curious to see what my body could do. Like I don't have the strong legs, for say. Now, what's this person's lifestyle that I am really adamant about what they're doing? Do I want to do that lifestyle to get the results? And yes or no, it's fine. Um, and like recognizing that jealousy, judgment is jealousy. And the fact that you see something and that you want it means that you definitely can have it if you want to put the work in. But when we're starting from square one, or even if you're stuck at square 20, it's reassessing, like calming down. And I always tell people, and I have this conversation twice today already. It seems to happen every time. Like, oh, we gotta talk about this. Is God is time, and we can implement and strategize, or we could strategize, and we could see the end result, and we can see our limitations and what tools we need, and we have all like this idea of how things should go. But when you're implementing, you are going on a timeline that is fixed. You cannot speed it up, and you can't go back. And you can have a goal and this aim and this want, but that surrender piece is letting go of the timeline, and God will bring it to you. You got to meet him or her, but it's letting go, and God is time. Let that need for it to be right now. You got to let it go and just enjoy the process and keep taking the steps to get there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like what you said. At first, my mind was like, "What? Be great. Have gratitude for what smoking does for you." But in that moment, you're saying, accept your whys,
Hmm.
right? So if it, like you said, if it, I did that with when I was intuitively eating, which I still do, and I was asking, "Who am I?" when I would like eat chocolate or eat whatever that people said were bad for you, and I'd ask, "Who am I when I'm eating it?" and what does it provide for me? What's it doing for me? And by having those answers, I agree with you. It's not going to make you like just settle. It's like an acceptance, and you can finally let it go. That's when the control is released. And then you make a conscious decision of, oh, I actually don't need it. Or sometimes I'll have chocolate just because it's habit, not because I really want it. And I'm eating,
Hmm.
and it's not really good, but yeah, I'm eating it. And I eat just pure dark chocolate. I don't eat any of the processed stuff. Rarely do I do that. And when I do, it's gross and you can taste all the chemicals in your mouth. But every once in a while, in the mood, it tastes good. So it goes back to that acceptance. And I'm curious with your client who said, why can't I just eat carbs? Is there a desire to eat carbs? Versus, I just want to eat carbs versus having to stick to this way of living and not enjoy some of the fruits or the food. Right. So according to my blood type, there's a book called Eating Right by Your Blood Type. I shouldn't have potatoes because it increases your chances of having arthritis. My mom has arthritis, my aunt has, like, they all have arthritis. So I can choose not to have potatoes because science has shown that it actually affects your arthritis with the blood type I am. Or I could choose to eat it in moderation, or I could choose not to have it at all. Right. And goes back to the acceptance. Am I going to accept where I'm at, with my body, knowing that I choose to have, some dark chocolate or potatoes over not having those things and looking a specific way. Right. So I just thought about that with this client is what matters the most. And I think that that's what we have to do the scale of how we're living, and then whose opinions are we following, right? Because I might say, oh my gosh, I need to tone up more, and my husband's like, you look amazing. And he doesn't lie to me. I don't think he would ever tell me I don't look amazing, but he also would say, yeah, you gained some weight. Like, if that makes sense. He's not a butt face about
Right.
it. So who is it really for? And if it's for you, and that's why acceptance is so important, I think it changes everything because you're not doing for someone else and their opinion anymore. So I have this app called Yuka, Yuka, and it tracks like additives and certain things in food. And I did it after I got my blood pressure back where I was a little bit high, which was confusing for me because I don't eat a lot of red foods or whatever's tied to it, right? So I started looking at this app, and there's a recommendation: poor, bad for you, poor, good, and excellent. And as I'm looking at things, some things are listed as poor, not because of any additives, just because of the saturated fats or the sugar. So then, even then, you have to make a decision. What do I accept that I'm eating and what am I not? Right. So there was all these foods that have carcinogens in it that can cause like gut problems. And I had no idea because I thought it was healthy. And I look, I'm like, no, I'm okay not living with that again. Like, I'm okay with that. And then me and my family love spam. And so we went shopping, and the only one thing we got with the bad additives was the one thing that we chose as a whole. Because we don't eat it all the time, we eat it maybe once or every other week type of thing. But we chose that we would want to have that because there's not really a replacement. My husband's, it's just we eat spam in my house. And I'm not gonna feel shameful about it. Because it's like, ew, you eat spam. I'm like, if you've never tried it, don't knock it. But
Yeah.
there's this yogurt that might have it and this yogurt that doesn't. So that's where your choice comes back in. And when you start to ask your whys, self-observing, and your acceptance, it just changes your perspective because no one's opinion can control you anymore. Not even an app, because you're consciously making a choice to put something in your mouth that has toxins in it.
Yeah, I think that the awareness around your inner narrative, your emotional body, but also awareness around all the educational piece too. So I started my process for my physical body long, long time ago. I started working at Bally Total Fitness back before I started grad school. So like 15 years ago now. Because I was poor and I didn't want to pay for a gym membership. So I was like, I'll just get a job there. Um, and over time, you take in more information and you try stuff and it doesn't work or it does work. I counted carbs or counted my calories or, I've done all those things and I don't care anymore. But my lifestyle has shifted over this time where we rarely eat out, maybe once every couple months. I don't drink. Like all these things have shifted over time. And I find it easier to add in than take out. So I have a hard time advising patients to or anybody to just switch their lifestyle to say, like, take all this stuff out and then start adding stuff in. But so when I eat sugar, I used to not eat sugar, and then I had two babies, and with both my boys, I just craved sugar all the time, especially peanut butter and chocolate. And my husband found these big bags from Costco that are like Reese's Pieces, Reese's Pieces, syrupy popcorn that have like peanut butter and
Oh
chocolate
yeah, okay.
syrup all over them. Oh my, and their Costco bags are like 2, 3, pounds and I'm like sitting there eating it in two sittings. But the thing is like, I don't allow myself shame anymore. And that takes practice because
Yeah.
shame brings out negative emotions. It brings out negative hormones. I get, this increases stress, all of these things. Um, what I do practice is acknowledging that if I feel bad after I eat it, like physically, I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Mhm.
I take that as a learning experience and I bank it. And I say, okay, remember this. I love French fries. Oh my gosh, I love them. But every time we go out and have French fries, I would get a headache.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's the oil, if I don't know what, if it's but so I'm like, okay, well, I love French fries, but it gives me a headache. I don't eat them out. I make them at home and I just bake them or whatever. Or like the other night, I went out and had them for the first time in like 2 years, and I only had like a few, and I felt fine, and I was like, okay, cool. But when you're proactive about your mindset, you're proactive about your health, like these things will just fall into place. And if you have a massive amount of health issues, like there's stuff you have to address and there's things that you need to learn. And that's where those apps come in place and they're in handy. All of the education, like that's in your toolbox. All of this stuff is building up your toolbox. And when you're learning something new, it's like when I was in acupuncture school, they gave this analogy, and I love it for all learning anything new, is it's like a bamboo. The bottom of the bamboo is very rigid, right? You have to learn the theories, you have to learn the points, you have to learn, you have to build up your education, the research, the tools, the education, all that stuff. And then the higher up on the bamboo you go, the more flow you have, the more creativity you get, the more intuitive with your body you get. And so knowing like staying around that perimeter of the grocery store, all of these things. And then also knowing that everybody's a little different. So some people like the carnivore diet, some people are vegan, like what feels good for your body and what feels good for your mind, you know,
Right.
and it's not, you can, but that's a trial and error thing. You got to play around with it a little bit, I think. Um, yeah, sorry.
So going back to the question that was asked, why
How do
can
I,
why
oh,
can I eat carbs or why can I stay away from carbs?
I think well, I interpreted it as, sorry, my kitty cat is being crazy today. Um, I took it as like more of a shame thing. Like, why can't I have carbs and feel good? Why can't I be happy with my body? Why do I have to
I
compare
would
myself and be so strict?
So then the homework I would give this client from my perspective, and you can give her unless you want to start,
Oh, go.
is who am I when I'm eating potatoes or carbs? I say potatoes, but carbs, who am I when I'm eating carbs? Am I stressed? Like, am I anxious? Am I trying to like you said in a different way is what blessing does it give me in the moment? And then
Mhm.
to really consciously see if it really is giving a blessing or some release, or if there's a story behind it that's what she's seeking, but not getting. Right. And if it comes down to like positives, maybe that's where the acceptance piece comes in is like, no, I'm gonna accept carbs, but if I want to look this way, then maybe I eat carbs twice a week. I don't know. I'm not a fitness expert in any means, but that's kind of where I would start with the question from a therapeutic perspective.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of follows, I think it's Byron Katie, maybe Tony Robbins, but there's a series of questions that you can do with anything that's going on, whatever that inner narrative is, right? You say, is this true? So I can't eat carbs. Okay, well, is that true? Are you absolutely, do you know for absolutely for that it's true? That the carbs are the reason that you're not getting to your weight goal, right? Or your body image goal. I love carbs. I eat them all the time. So I'm different, right? And then it's like you said, who are you? Who are you with this story, with this narrative? What kind of person are you? What kind of person are you if you didn't believe this, if this wasn't, if this wasn't true? And then
Mm,
it's what is the opposite? So the truth is 180 degrees in the opposite direction.
yeah.
So carbs make me feel thin, or carbs make me feel good, or whatever. What's the truth? What's the opposite of that? And then you find three things that support that truth, because your brain wants to seek validation, and you can think of at least three things or three times or whatever that support that new truth. And so that's like the series of questions you can go through with any of the things that we talk about, or with any of the negative or narratives that you have, like right, like we've talked about mine, right, a few times, where it's like no one cares what I want. Is that true? No.
Right.
Who am I when I believe that? Well, I'm moody, I'm a victim, I'm, all these things. Who am I if that's not the case? Oh, I'm a more accountable, I'm more lovely. Sorry, having a day. um What's the opposite of that is I don't prioritize my own needs. And giving me three examples of that is, oh, yeah, of course I don't prioritize my needs. I stay up too late. I I make I make lunches for all the kids, and I don't include my own in that, so I don't have anything to eat for lunch. Like, like, I can find
Yeah.
reasons to do that, and then I go, "Oh, I can take more responsibility for myself, and I can apply that." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's great homework to give to any of you guys questioning why you can or cannot do something, right? And we hope you take this information and apply it to your life. If you have follow-up questions, please post it under and subscribe and share with those you think would benefit from this amazing subscription. Until next time, do you have anything else, Dr. Cami?
Nope, thank you guys for tuning in, and sorry my life has been a little chaotic in this episode.
It makes us feel that is we can have that is, we're allowed to have lived experience and have some chaos up in there.